Howdy, Cowboy Gamer here. And if you know much about me, you know there are two things I love. I love Zelda and I love food. So, E3 has just finished up a few days ago, and I've been going through all of the footage to look at recipes for the next up and coming Zelda game, Breath of the Wild. This is not a complete list. This is what I've seen on tons of hours of videos, forums. Some of these are not confirmed, but this is the best to my abilities so far. Also, I have some random items that if you use this type of item, kind of what the general effects are. As a useful tip to maybe later on, if you don't have a guidebook, you could use a certain item to probably restore hearts, or certain items will help you restore stamina. Different things like that. Just some of these are guesses, but a lot of this is confirmed, and you'll probably see videos as I'm talking through them. So, first major thing I wanted to let you know, but I don't really care about: campfires versus the cooking pot or skillet. Campfires are great. With flint and firewood, you can make a campfire anywhere, and you can cook pretty much anything. However, it doesn't look like you can cook multiple things. You can just cook one thing at a time. You run the risk of burning it so much that it gets destroyed, and using the same items in a cooking pot seems to get you better rewards or effects. So, to start off, I will explain campfire. If you drop a steak next to a campfire, it turns into seared steak. It restores 1.5 hearts to your health. However, if you use that same steak in a cooking pot, which is what I'm going to call it because that was what it was called on the Nintendo Treehouse, it kind of looks like a skillet, but same thing. That same steak can actually turn into a steak skewer and restore 2 hearts. So, it's definitely better to get a cooking pot. The only problem is these are set in the world, so you kind of have to mark them on your map, know where they are, whereas a campfire you can just create anywhere. Blue Nightshade plus a Stamila Shroom, and I apologize, some of these words I'm going to get a little off, but it turns into steamed mushrooms. It also restores 2 hearts to your health. A steak and a Hylian Shroom turn into meat and mushroom skewers and restores 3 hearts. Steak and 3 hearty truffles turn into a hearty meat and mushroom skewer, and it restores all your hearts, plus it adds 3. This is that new mechanic where you may only have 3 hearts in your normal health pool, but you can gain 3 yellow hearts, and these are just extra bonus. It's like giving yourself a little extra boost so that you can take more damage, but you're not actually going into your hearts. So if somebody hits for and does a hit of 4 hearts, then this would give you more than enough so that you could heal up later. Steak, Hylian shroom, a Hyrule herb, and a hardy radish turn into hardy wild greens. This gives you full recovery and +4 to hearts. Steak, uh, 2 hearty truffles, and 2 hearty radishes turns into hearty steamed meat. This gives you full recovery and +8 to hearts. This is probably the most important because this gives you a total of 11 hearts of HP, and probably would be great for going up against really difficult bosses, or if you've seen the plateau that starts off the level, there's the rock monster there. This is probably get a couple of these and you probably be able to beat the rock monster as long as you have enough weapons. Steak, Hylian 2 Hylian shrooms, and 2 spicy peppers makes spicy pepper steak. This restores 6 hearts and gives 5 minutes and 30 seconds of cold resistance. A key note to know is that this restores 6 hearts. So it looks like you have to have an ability to gain more than 3 hearts in this game. It's not going to be like this. The the hearty steamed meat, which gives you full recovery +8. You're not going to have to eat dishes to get more than your 3 hearts. You will eventually find probably heart pieces that will give you more hearts in the game. So staying true to Zelda, really great. A Bako Blin horn, bird meat, Fish and a sizzle wing butterfly turns it into a spicy elixir. This restores 3 hearts and gives you 9 minutes and 50 seconds of cold resistance. The same spicy elixir can be made with a Bokoblin Fang, Hylian Shroom, Sizzlewing Butterfly, and a Stalmana Shroom. And this does the exact same thing with the spicy elixir. So, good thing to note from this, you can get the same created item by mixing different items in the for recipes. So super useful. There'll probably be a layout throughout the world that says you need to mix one of a meat, a steak, or bird meat, or you have to mix always a sizzle wing butterfly or a frog, something that's fast to get it into an elixir, and probably an elixir for cold resistance. But different things like that will be really useful. So it doesn't always mean you're gonna have to always have steak, because maybe later in the game you get to an area where it's not easy to find a certain item. So that is super useful, that you can get similar recipes or maybe better recipes by mixing similar items. Uh, we have 5 spicy peppers makes a spicy sautéed peppers. This restores 5 hearts, again, more than 3 hearts, so awesome, and gives 10 minutes of cold resistance. Super useful if you're going into a frozen tundra and you don't have the clothing for it. This is unconfirmed, but it was in one of the forums. Bakoblin Fang and a frog turns into a hasty elixir. This speeds up Link for 2 minutes and 40 seconds, probably allowing you to run faster, uh, attack faster, things like that, fighting certain enemies. Bakoblin Horn and a Stalmana Shroom turns into an energizing elixir, and this restores one fourth or 1/5 of the stamina gauge. Not the greatest visuals on when I've seen this, but that's about what I think it is. So you could make a bunch of these elixirs and allow you to climb higher up and progress into different parts of the map. The same Bokoblin Horn and a Restless Cricket also does an energizing elixir and restores 1/4 to your stamina. So, same thing. You're using one of the similar ingredients, and then the cricket or the shroom gets you the same thing. Super awesome. It would also be important to note when you just look at certain items, if you just ate that a single item, usually whatever it has in the corner, it says like this is going to restore your stamina, this is going to heal you a heart. Those are kind of the things that are going to turn into the effects if you cook them. So if you look at steak, if you eat a steak raw, it restores a heart. But if you cook it, it restores more hearts. Cooking is always better. Hyrule Bass and a Sizzle Wing Butterfly um, turns into dubious food. And while this is important, it doesn't mix well and it doesn't make a great dish. But dubious food is still available to eat. It turned out it's a poor creation of a mix, but it restores 1 heart. It doesn't give you a boost, so there's really no reason to create this. But just because you create it means that you still might save it and eat it. It would remove 2 items in your inventory and make it into one. So can be useful, but you could probably use these items to make something a lot better. Key's wing and a hearty radish also turns into dubious food. However, dubious food has different uh, effects. So this one restores 2.5 hearts. So not all dubious food is the exact same. Good thing to note. Another unconfirmed. This is Bakoblin horn and milk. Is supposed to turn into Baco butter. However, there's no word on what this actually does for you in the game, other than that it creates this. Uh, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more things that people are going to find. There are thousands of hours of footage of the demo of people mixing different things, but most of the time, who really went into the demo just to do the recipes? They went to explore and see the world. But this is still something important to note. Um, Also, there is another unknown recipe, but you can make this item, and it is hearty mushroom skewer. It does a full recovery plus 4 hearts. So this is similar to the hardy wild greens. So I'm assuming steak, Hylian shroom, probably something else, but same effect, just a different name. So that's kind of the basics of the recipes so far of what we know to be confirmed or unconfirmed, but we've seen and people talk about. Um, Important things to know, what types of items give you certain benefits. Steak, it always seems like restores hearts, same with Hylian shrooms. Spicy peppers and sizzle wing butterfly, the sizzle being hot, I guess in the key word, do benefits give you cold resistance. Stalmala shroom, uh, which sounds really close to stamina, restores stamina. Same thing with the restless cricket, probably since it's fast and it's a cricket jumps away. Looks like it would be fast. It would take a while to keep up with it. Using lots of stamina, sprinting restores stamina. There's also an item in the game. Believe it's called a rush shroom. Um, this probably speeds Link up since we know there is an effect that does this. Um, with the hasty elixir. So probably if you mix Bako Blin, Fang, and a Rushroom, you'd be able to speed Link up for so many minutes and seconds. There are a lot of other items we have not seen. We know that there are recipes that will make it easier to stealth, so probably decrease the sound that you create. Um, there should be items that will, or items and recipes that will do more damage, make you take less damage, tons of things like that. So this recipe page, when they were talking about, they said they had multiple pages of recipes to translate. So when you get your strategy guide that shows you all your recipes, you're probably going to have multiple pages, maybe 10 pages of recipes throughout with all the different items all over the place. So there might be some really cool ideas of figuring out what's the easiest items to find, the most non-rare items, but that give very good effects. So maybe you can find steak really easily or bird meat, but you can't find this other type of meat which is in a certain place of the world. But because you use steak in the same recipe instead of this rare meat, all it does is doesn't give you 2 extra hearts of recovery or 2 extra bonus hearts, 2 yellow hearts, as it were. So there's probably going to be a lot of time finding the items to the creating and what the benefits are to find a giant, really best case scenario recipe guide. But I'll probably be looking into that as it gets closer and as more footage comes out. I will see about updating this or creating a new one. Maybe, hopefully, next time I get some more time, I can find a whole bunch more recipes for you guys to give you just more information into what the awesome world of Hyrule is going to be like and how awesome Zelda and the Breath of the Wild game or Breath of the Wild game is going to be. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you really wanted to learn about the recipes, even though you'd rather play the gameplay. But recipes are going to matter. So this has been Cowboy Gamer signing off.